everybody here? Is it? Okay, great. So thank you everybody for joining the Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network member orientation presented by Echo. And my Korean name is Hyunsook, so presented by Choi Hyunsook. Next slide, please.
Oh, why is it not going?
Oh, maybe arrow. You can. There you go. So I wanted to share before we actually start the presentation about myself, how I got involved in the movement. So I shared a little bit in the breakout room how I was radicalized in the early 90s by playing the drums. I'm still wearing my drumming uniform today. And LA uprisings, Haigu in 1992 had an impact in the Korean American community. But how I got involved in the Korea peace issue was when I visited South Korea in year 2000 with other US peace activists who were visiting Noguni. Noguni is a location where civilian massacres happened during Korean War from 1950 to 1953 by the US troops. And there was first time ever revelation of the civilian massacre in 1999 by the Associated Press. And there was a group of American activists who visited Noguni and other sites in South Korea in May 2000. And I accompanied the delegation to mainly work as interpreter. And as we were visiting these sites, we also had an opportunity to visit Maehangni, which is on the west coast of South Korea, about 2 hours of drive from Seoul. And I was able to see with my own eyes the bombshells that were laid on the beach of this Maehangni beautiful town. From the Maehangni beach, you can see 2 rock islands. Nobody lives there. They're just rock islands that is in the ocean, but you can see the 2 islands that is out there. And I learned that since 1953, US Air Force was practicing bombing using those 2 rock islands. And the way they do it is they would fly in towards the village and try to bomb the rock islands. Apparently it's not easy as you might think. So that's why they practice bombing every day, Monday through Friday usually. And they've been doing it since 1953 until 2000. That actually woke me up and made me realize that Korean War is real, that it is ongoing, it is present. Until then, I was pretty ignorant about Korean War too. I didn't know until my mid-20s that Korean War needed to be ended by the US and North Korea. I grew up in South Korea. I thought it was South Korea that needs to sign the peace agreement with North Korea, but according to the armistice agreement, it wasn't. It was North Korea. It was the U.S. that needs to sign the peace agreement with North Korea. So we'll go on a little bit more about that as we educate ourselves. So next slide. So Korea Peace Now. What do we do? Who we are, and why do we do this? So we are multicultural, multi-generational network of hundreds of peace activists, anti-war activists, and organizations across the country. You probably saw in the meeting today the diversity of people. It's not just all Korean Americans, but it is multicultural and multiracial, multi-generational people. And what do? We advocate for an official end to the Korean War with the signing of a peace agreement. And why? And you will probably hear a lot more of why we do this later in the presentation. So the unresolved Korean War is the root cause of the security crisis on the Korean Peninsula. And it continues to keep families separated. Without a peace agreement, renewed conflict could break out at any time, potentially involving nuclear weapons. So the potential of renewed conflict is that anytime under this armistice, a war can break out because the armistice agreement did not end the war. So technically, we are in a state of war. North Korea is in a state of war with South Korea in the US. And that is why North Korea has been building weapons. So their weapon would land on the USA, not just South Korea. And that's why they became a nuclear weapons country, so that they have nuclear weapons to stand up against the US. So we can have more discussion about this maybe next month or the following month. So the next slide. We launched in 2019, relatively new, right? We launched as a part of global campaign, Korea Peace Now, to organize communities in the US to call for a shift in US policy towards a peace first approach. So I will go into our history a little bit behind 2019, before 2019 campaign launch of Korea Peace Now. And how do we do this campaign? We educate, we advocate, and organize for Korea Peace Agreement. Next slide, please. So how do we educate? We highlight the human impacts of the unresolved war through webinars, the media, the mainstream media, the social media, the op-eds in many different, or even like sessions like today, our monthly meetings and other forums. And we sometimes go speak at other forums, and that's how we educate and educate others and educate ourselves. And we organize, we build and strengthen our movement, including nurturing our next generation of Korea peace leaders. We do direct actions such as rallies, and we attend tabling, we attend anti-war protests. So we organize. And we advocate. How do we advocate? We talked about the advocacy week at the main monthly meeting today. We urge members of Congress to support Korea peace legislation. We currently do have a legislation in our Congress, HR 1369. So this is a main vehicle that we use to advocate in our Congress, in the US Congress, to urge and pressure our government. So next three slides. It's very brief history of Korean War. I'm sure most of you know that Korean War happened from 1950 until 1953. It was among the most destructive conflicts in the modern era, with approximately 5 million war fatalities and a larger proportion civilian death toll than World War II or the Vietnam War. So more than half of the 5 million people, about 10% of the Korean population died. So pre-war, before Korean War, the population of before Korean War, about 10% of those people died. And 22 countries fought in it. So you often hear UN when you hear about Korean War. So the next slide, in July 27, 1953, US and North Korea and China signed the armistice. So the military commanders of the three countries, they were at the signing table. South Korea was not, because South Korea gave their rights to the US. So US signed on behalf of South Korea. And hopefully by the third session in June, we can talk about more about how that first action by the first president of South Korea, Sung Man-lee, giving all their rights to US Korea has caused the current war, the current situation of the war continuing to this day. And the second session in May, the Education Committee will cover the Korean War 101. So hopefully we have more discussion and more education on the Korean War itself at the next meeting. First quiz, who were the leaders then in 1953 of North Korea and South Korea? Anybody? Raise your hand. I already gave a hint. Oh, I see Chuck moving his mouth.
Kim Il-sung was in North Korea and Syngman-rhee was in South Korea.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. And thank you, Andrew. Yes. You don't win a prize this time, but next time you have something. Weird prizes, like cleaning my cat's litter box and stuff like that. Sorry. Okay, next slide. So these are some of the pictures of the current situation. The divided families on the top left, one of the reunion sessions. And the top right is the word drills that still continue twice a year. The major word drills that happened, joint word drills of US and South Korea that happened on and around Korea, that still continued to happen. And you see the barbed wire near the border. So even after 71 years since the armistice was signed, there's no peace in Korea. And the next slide. Why do we need to end the Korean War? So Andrew, yes, it was Tasha, who you met at the session. That's great. Can you read the first line? Why do we need to end the Korean War?
Maintaining the status quo is dangerous and immoral. Without a peace agreement, war could break out at any time.
Jisung, can you read the second line?
Maintaining forever war in Korea and fanning the flames of great power competition between the US and China.
Tommy, can you read the third line?
Ending the Korean War and replacing the armistice with a peace agreement is in everyone's interest.
Thank you. Phoenix, can you read the last line?
The status quo has not helped improve human rights in North Korea. Ending the Korean War would build the foundation upon which to better engage in human rights and other issues.
Thank you so much. So out of the four, is there a certain one that resonates with you? Maybe you can drop it in the chat. Or maybe something that's new, a bullet point that you never thought of, but learning it for the first time through this presentation. Please drop it in the chat. So I was saying before the, and you can just leave this slide on, Nami, so that people can copy and paste, or, you don't have to copy the whole phrase, just you can do like 1, 2, 3, 4, or make it, paraphrase it. So I said earlier that before Korea Peace Now was formed in 2019, of course, many people since 1953 have been working on ending the Korean War. But here, our main history pre-2019, the recent history of our movement is in the next slide. In 2014, Women Cross DMZ was formed. So that's my organization, Cathi and my organization. We have 5 staff at Women Cross DMZ, and we're the main people that is in this movement, Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network movement. So 2014, Women Cross DMZ was formed and basically mobilized women globally for peace in Korea through education, advocacy, and organizing. In 2015, Women Cross DMZ formed 30 women delegation to make a historic trip to cross the DMZ. So, Jisung, do you know what DMZ stands for?
Does it stand for demilitarized zone?
Yes, ding dong ding. Thank you so much. So hopefully you have an opportunity, or we will create an opportunity for us to watch the documentary Crossings together, which is documentary about the 2015 historical crossing. So the next slide, bringing us to 2017. So 2015, the historical crossing took place, and 2017, Fire and Fury. You probably remember seeing Kim Jong-un and Trump calling each other names, Rocket Man, and and a lot of people protesting. You see the picture on the right, all the way on the left is Hyun-mi, our leader who passed away in 2022, but very important person who was a great organizer on organizing Korea Peace Now chapters in 2019. So there were a lot of protests, a lot of demands from the people that there should not be a renewed war, and that US and North Korea should stop threatening each other. And then the next slide, 2018, the breakthrough. Oh my gosh, who knew that two leaders would meet? First time in the US history, current president, sitting president of US leader meeting with North Korea. What a historical moment. But then in 2019, the Hanoi summit didn't work out. So next slide, Nami. After the Hanoi summit fell through, there's been a stalemate basically until now, even after Biden took presidency. And actually a little bit worse than just a stalemate, that North Korea is now they are now a nuclear state country, and they have now stronger ties with Putin, with Russia, and they have been continued to be cornered and isolated. So it is a little bit more dangerous now, and especially with the South Korean conservative president and Biden creating trilateral military alliance between the US, Japan, and South Korea. The war threat and renewed threat for war is actually ever more. And that is why it's kind of important that we work on this issue right now before anything really bad happens. So that was a little bit about the history of Korean War and bringing us up to date. So going back to 2019, the Korea Peace Now campaign launch. So you see in this picture, there's some South Korean legislators and some US women who are in this picture. In March 2019, Women Across DMZ basically joined with 4 other women's organizations. There were Noble Women's Initiative and WILF, Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and the South Korean organization called Korean Women's Movement for Peace. They launched a global campaign called Korea Peace Now, Women Mobilizing to End the War. So that campaign actually has wrapped up last year. So we are now using Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network interchangeably with Korea Peace Now. Because for the last few years, it was always confusing Korea Peace Now, the difference between Korea Peace Now and Korea Peace Network. But we call ourselves Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network formally, but we also call ourselves Korea Peace Now, which used to be the Women's International Campaign, but now we interchangeably use it for the US campaign. So at the same time, around the same time in 2019, Hyun Lee, I mentioned, she went and traveled all over the US to create chapters. And we'll see the chapters that was formed after 2019 launching of Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network in the next 2 slides. But at the next slide, so the main important issue that Korea Peace Now, the women organizing for Korea ending the Korean War, one of the very first important things that they did was they worked with Representative Ro Khanna of California, and they provided valuable input on the first congressional resolution ever to end the Korean War. So before Ro Khanna's resolution in 2019, there was nothing in our Congress that is a bill or a resolution that we can utilize to advocate for ending the Korean War. And we'll go back to the advocacy aspects a little bit later after a few more other things that I cover. So the next slide would show the different chapters we used to have, and we still have presence in this region. So until very recently, we had these 11 regional chapters and 3 caucuses. And starting end of last year, we started talking about moving away from the chapter model and creating the committee map. So the next slide will show the 5 different committees we have. So except for the education committee, all 4 committees are accepting members. So if you're interested in joining the committee, please email me or Nami or Cathi, and we'll be sure to connect you with the committee. And I also wanted to drop our membership form, but since I'm not on my laptop, I don't think I could do that. But if you joined as a member before January this year, you probably didn't have a choice in the membership form of which committee you wanted to attend. So I recommend that you rejoin using the membership link. And you will be able to indicate which committee you're interested. So I will, I usually share once anybody registers as a member, I usually share the list of people who register under certain committees with the committee leaders, and they get in touch with you before the next committee meeting. Yeah, if you can please, using the membership link, join as a member once again. So the 4 or the 5 committees, you can probably kind of guess what each committee does. So advocacy committee, I think advocacy and membership and education, I think you kind of heard at the main meeting of what we do. Andrew, what do you think communications committee would do?
Probably social media.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's one of the things that they do. Evelyn, which committee would you like to join?
So probably advocacy, and I don't know if membership should go for new members, or if that's just talking to, or if that's for training, if that people on membership are the ones responsible for training new members.
Very good question. So membership committee is actually formed to welcome the new members and onboard the new members. And if anybody who are old members want to become buddies with the new members, you should join the membership committee. Yeah. So every committee has what's called POP, POPs, which is purpose, outcome, and process. So once you join the committee, the committee lead would probably share the POPs with you. You can learn more about each committee. And you're always welcome to reach out to us to get more explanation on the committees. Okay, so I think I have to move on very quickly. We're almost out of time. So next slide, Nami. These are some of the pictures of our groups, our actions. So the top right is the New York people. The top left is Georgia people, and bottom left is LA folks, and bottom right, all the way right, is DC in front of the White House at one of the July 27th armistice and the Korean War rally, and right above that is New York people again. So these are some of the gatherings, some of the rallies, some of the advocacy or panel discussion meetings that has been held. So what does Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network look like, and what do we do? So the next slide, I've said this before, we educate, we advocate, and we organize. And how do we educate and advocate and organize? So next slide, Nami. We host various webinars. Next slide, Nami. Online. And on the right is my picture with Bruce Cummings, forever honor of my family that I was able to moderate one of his forums in person in Northern Virginia a few years ago. And if you visit Women Across DMZ YouTube, there are many webinars that we've done in the past, which has a lot of educational material. So you can watch. Nowadays, a lot of people I know don't have time to read, but you can watch the webinars, related to the organizations, our organization, our Women Across DMZ, but some of the things that our members, our staff have attended as well. So the next slide, we host films, such as the People in the Sky on the right. On the left is the program that Cathi joined to speak at another organization's event. And the next slide, we hold screenings for Crossings, the documentary that I mentioned about Women Cross DMZ and 30 other women delegation that happened in 2015. The picture on the right is one of the Crossings hosting that happened in California. And hopefully we have an opportunity to watch the film together. The Crossings premiered in Hawaii International Film Festival in Honolulu on November 13, 2021. And there's been over 50 screenings all over the US and in South Korea. So hopefully we have an opportunity to watch it together. This is another way to organize, actually, your region. If you belong to a school, this is a great film to organize within your region to get people to watch the film, be educated, but also come together to join the Korea Peace Now movement. So the next slide, how do we advocate and what do we do? You can see in this picture, top right and left are Pennsylvania people visiting their member of Congress. I believe this was 2019 when this happened. And bottom left is Hyunli in the center in the green t-shirt visiting Bill Pascrell of New Jersey, member of Congress. And the right picture is Anaya Presley and our New England members visiting her. And the picture all the way on the right with Hyunli, does anybody know who this person is? Thank you. I still couldn't figure out whether this was Rashid on the right. It's my homework that I have to figure out. Sorry. Next slide. We have been doing online advocacy meetings since 2020, the pandemic. And this was actually our 9th year doing our advocacy, annual Korea Peace Advocacy, and 5th year doing it online. So after we started doing our online advocacy, we actually have more people joining our advocacy efforts and more meetings and more opportunity to educate our staff at the members' offices and educate our members who are joining the Korea Peace Now Grassroots Network members, joining our advocacy meetings on the bill, on the issue, about the Korean War, and being challenged as we talk to the staffer and educate them. It's an opportunity to educate them. And it's a direct action that we can take, actually, as people in the US to pressure our US government. So the next 2 slides are pictures of some of our Korea Peace champions. After our advocacy week, annual advocacy week, we usually have a few members of Congress co-sponsoring the bill right away. So next slide shows the 2 people who have co-sponsored right after our March advocacy week. So we highlight them, we create social media posts, and it's very rewarding that our action is actually creating the results, the direct results. very timely results. So we need our wind in order to sustain our movement and keep the flame alive. So the next portion is organizing. So how do we organize? One of the tools that we use is tabling. There are a lot of Korean festivals and some events, in-person events that is peace related. We go out there with our banners, with our t-shirts, with our merch, with our brochures to educate the public that the Korean War has not ended. We also utilize our Korean Peace Now monthly meetings to educate, to learn about certain issues. Like today, South Korean election just happened, so we talked about South Korean election. We had an opportunity to learn about it. The next slide, we form regional meetings. So I told you we used to have chapters. Now we're moving away from the chapters, but still regional meetings are very important. These two pictures are from the chapter meetings last year. But getting together in person, joining not just the Korea Peace rallies, but other anti-war rallies. Right now, Palestine issue is dire. Joining as a Korea Peace Now contingent to attend other rallies, that's very important. Next slide, we host crossings and other film screenings. It's a great opportunity to organize folks to not just join the meeting, but by co-organizing, and acting together to prepare for an event. It's a great way to organize and make people come together. And the next slide is about a few protests that we did in DC in front of the White House on protesting against US ROK, US South Korea joint war drills. And the picture on the right is anti-Asian hate picture, Asian hate rally that we supported as Korea Peace contingent. And then the next few pictures are about July 27th last year. So last year was the 70th year of Korean War armistice, and the armistice was signed on July 27th. And it took us 7 months to prepare for last year's July, but it was worth it. Every minute was worth it. And look at all these people that are in the picture who have joined us. Actually, a lot more people joined because they left before we took the group picture. But we came together as multi-generation, multicultural, multinational people, religion. You see the Buddhist monk and you see some other people representing their religion. And it was really a moment for us to come together and bring more people to the movement, and another opportunity to educate the public that Korean War hasn't ended. Next slide. So during last year's July 27th events, one of the events we had was the Han and healing ceremony. So we got together, you see the picture of the leader. Oh my God, what's her name, Cathi?
Dohee.
Bohee, leading the ceremony. On the trauma of the Korean War that we still continue to hold, and untying some of the knots that was created. Although it's not going to be one ceremony that'll be healing everything, but it was a great ceremony for folks to actually really come together and to get emotional, to release our emotions, because our movement, our activism takes a lot of emotion and our body too. So the next slide is a few bullet points of the conference we held the day after July 27th at GW. So another aspect of educating, we bring panels together and we listen to them and we have discussions on various aspects, from the scholars, from retired military, from the divided families, from people who work on the humanitarian issue in North Korea. We hear from them, and we give space for them to speak out, and we continue to educate on why ending the Korean War is important. So the next picture is a little bit of our march and our advocacy, in-person advocacy actually, that was held on July 26th. So hopefully you have more opportunity to see some of these pictures on our Instagram. If you can go back, go visit our Instagram at Women Cross DMZ or at Korea Peace Now. You can go back to our previous posts and take a look at some of the pictures. So the last few slides you can quickly run through, Nami. So these are sort of the recent more stuff that is going on in the press that you might have seen in the press. And this slide I wanted to highlight that Washington's focus is always strengthening U.S. extended deterrence and division, but what we demand is permanent peace in Korea. And that is why we need to continue to educate, advocate, and organize for Korea Peace Now. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you. Too long, I'm sorry. But we have 3 minutes. I can actually stay a little bit longer for your questions. And I didn't get to see the chat a whole lot, so.
Echo, I actually
Yes.
need to use the Zoom for
Oh.
a call at
Okay.
7. So
Okay.
yeah, I wonder, do you want to enter a different Zoom link if people want to join you on yours? Like your own
Or
personal.
yeah, or